Hi everyone and welcome. We're down here in my wormery, and what you see in front of you is the food that I have allocated to today's feedings. And today's feedings are going to be my VermiBags. And the VermiBags are the bins in which I store my nightcrawlers. The European nightcrawlers are over in the VermiBag Mini, and the African nightcrawlers are in the VermiBag Tote. Both bins are in wooden frames, which permits a fair amount of evaporation. And the last time we were down here, a couple days ago, we attempted to apply some countermeasures to try to help prevent evaporation from happening in these bins, try to keep the moisture levels comfortable for the worms. That's why you see some bubble wrap around the VermiBag Mini, and that's the reason I've got a large piece of plywood resting on the bottom of the VermiBag Tote, all trying to reduce the surface area of the fabric that tends to allow for a fair amount of evaporation. So when we're in there to feed today, we're going to get to see how the moisture retention is holding up. So let's get them over here and get this food in there. Feed these night crawlers. So now down here in the VermiBag Mini, where the European night crawlers are, oh, you can already see the night crawlers starting to flee because they see the bright light streaming in, which they don't like, obviously. Remove this piece of paper as well. I can feel a little bit of dryness on this piece of paper, on this coffee filter. It's been a couple days since I came in here to apply moisture, which is true. So I've been trying to, like, every couple days or so come back in here with my spray bottle to make sure that things are nice and moist. Not sure what it is. I think, yeah, there's a fair amount of sunlight streaming into here, and the sunlight is actually hitting the lens of the camera that I'm using, which doesn't really help much. So now the material in here has a nice moisture content to it. Not too damp, that's for sure. But you can see there's worms throughout it, and they seem to be pretty comfortable. So I was not planning on adding more bedding this go around. I was just going to add food. And I can already feel some of the older food bits that were down here from the last couple feedings. This is one of the corn cobs. And here and there you can see a worm hanging out, burrowing down into the cob. So that's pretty good. There's 2 corn cobs in here, so let's see if we can fish out the other one as well and see how that one's coming along. On this one, it's much easier to see its color. But on this one, I don't sense there's just as much deterioration occurring. I wonder why. I wonder why there could be such a difference between these 2 pieces of almost identical corn. And the corn is a slow composting item, so it's not too unusual to find these big hunks of corn, a month after they were placed into the bin. It takes time for the worms to be able to get at that stuff. This looks like one of those coffee filters, or maybe a paper towel. Yeah, paper towel seems to make more sense. It's thicker than a coffee filter is. This is holding up quite well too, but it was all bundled together in a tight knot, so that doesn't really lend itself to easy composting. But other than those couple items, I'm not seeing many, if any, signs of the food that they received most recently, which was a week ago. And here's a banana peel stem. So I think they're doing pretty good breaking down the food that they've been getting. So besides the food that I'm going to give them now, I think it's probably a good idea to come back in here maybe in another day or 2, just to make sure that there's also an ample amount of moisture in here to keep it comfortable for them. Because it seems nice. It seems like the material's got a pretty decent moisture content. But it is pretty crumbly. So I don't know if they would prefer it to be a bit more damp. I guess maybe I'm going down into where the food was previously, so maybe that's why it's more damp. The stuff on the surface was quite a bit drier. So I'm not going to add water now. I might come in here again later and add some more water like I've been doing lately, but it has been a couple days since I last did that, so not too surprising to see that things are getting a little bit more dry in here. Alright, I've dug quite a deep pit here, so I think it's safe to say we can go ahead and add food at this point. Alright, no harm in giving them a little bit more carbon along with the food that they're getting. A little bit more bedding material. So we'll throw some of that in there. One thing that I've got a fair amount of here is shredded potato skins. So we'll feed them generously with this. It's pretty much starch, right? Potato is starch, which is I guess a form of sugar, which I would think that the worms are going to appreciate. So we'll give them a nice generous helping of that. We'll take this piece of paper towel and get it spread down in here along with their food. Maybe get some of these older food items back into here as well. And I guess we can throw in a little bit more potato. I'm trying to break it up here a little bit as I go. Oops. Okay, save some for the other bag. We got some veggies in here as well. Not sure what that is. What else do we have here? I've also got some strawberry leaves, as well as some of the strawberry itself that got cut away. I guess we've got a couple banana peels here as well, so we'll give them that too. But we'll save the rest for the other worm bin, because on top of all that, we've still also got coffee grounds to give them. And this way, even though it's frozen, it's not really exposing the worms directly to the frozen stuff, since I don't freeze the coffee. So that when I pile this stuff back on top, along with the worms that get moved right over the feeding zone don't have to be piled right on top of a bunch of frozen food items. Does look like things are coming along pretty nicely in this bin, though, I gotta say. I don't know if it's just because I kind of stirred things up here a little bit, brought some of the more damp stuff up to the surface as a result of all this moving things around. Probably help moving all that more dry material down in near the feeding zone, near all that frozen food that's going to start thawing out and kicking off moisture. All right, not bad, not bad. Let's get things here covered up for them, and we'll move on to the African night crawlers. So now here in the VermiBag tote, one thing we've been noticing is the presence of some different types of insects. These are just kind of like itsy bitsy little creepy crawly insects. Not sure if it's being picked up on the camera or not. Other types of insects that appear to be flying insects. And as we make it down one layer into the newspaper that's covering up the material, here too we can see little creatures cruising around. These do appear to be those creatures that I classified as mites when I was seeing them a few months ago. And I thought I had done away with them for the most part, but I could be wrong. I'm obviously wrong, because I've still got them moving around here. So I'm not sure what they are, but I'm glad to not be seeing them in the large numbers as I've seen them in the past. In the past, I've had so many that it made me worry. I even went out and I got some diatomaceous earth and started treating my bins to try to counteract their presence. I'm pretty sure I just saw a couple African night crawlers kind of connected to one another. as if they'd been mating. It's interesting because every time I poke my nose into one of these bins lately, I do see that happening, which is a great sign. I'm very happy to see that. But I also feel bad because I always feel like I've interrupted kind of a passionate moment. Pretty cool coming into these nightcrawler bins, especially this one because it's like right here in front of my face. When I get down into the VermiBag, it's a little bit distant, so I have to sort of lean over and reach down to get into there. And the worms are not like right up against my face like they are here. Here I can see them right up close and I can really check them out. And here and there I do see worms that are, you know, right up against each other. And I don't see them necessarily connected to each other. But maybe maybe they're also, you know, checking each other out, potentially preparing to mate. So all I did here was I picked up a couple of these little banana peels, banana stems actually, while I was peeling things off to the side. I'll just be sure to return those larger food items down into the middle once we add some more food into here. Like we saw in the VermiBag Mini, where the European nightcrawlers are, here in the African nightcrawler VermiBag Tote. I've also got 2 ears of corn, 2 corn cobs, well, one ear of corn snapped in half basically. And here again, this piece has not really been heavily infiltrated yet. And then maybe this is the one that they're actually going for. Maybe they're the 2 halves, one piece that they're interested in, one piece that they're not so interested in. Because this one seems like it's getting worked a lot more than this one, for whatever reason. Kind of nice. Every handful seems to yield a large number of worms. And I think people have noted that the nightcrawlers don't congregate the way that the red wigglers do. I'm used to the behavior and appearance of the red wigglers in my bins, so I'm still just sort of getting accustomed to the way the nightcrawlers look and move and everything else. So I don't see them all piling together like the red wigglers tend to do. They maybe they're just a little bit more solitary or less inclined to huddle together the way the red wigglers do. But they're still in like, you know, in large numbers everywhere throughout the material, which is cool. I'm glad to see it. So and the moisture down here is quite nice too, the moisture level. Definitely nice and moist down here. Last time we were in my African nightcrawler bin, I believe we saw a worm cocoon, and I think this one might also be a worm cocoon. Not quite as dark as the one we observed last time. A little bit lighter in color, meaning it's probably not as far along yet. Not quite as ready to be hatched. Here too, I think I'm seeing more cocoons, which is pretty awesome, you know, because I don't know, maybe it's just me, poor vision, poor lighting, whatever the case may be. I normally don't get the opportunity to see many cocoons in my bins usually, so a little bit of a treat for me to spot them here and there. Here too, look at that. Cocoons all over the place. Very cool. I'm very happy to see that. So pardon me for being sidetracked and distracted by them. But that's a good sign. Probably means that in a short period of time we can expect to see a whole bunch of baby African nightcrawlers cruising around in this bin. Most of the worms I'm observing are fairly large in size. I mean, here and there I'll spot a little tiny worm, but mostly big worms. But if all those cocoons start hatching out soon, then we're going to have a population explosion happening in this bin pretty soon. Alright, So I've excavated almost all the way down to the bottom, pretty much down to the bottom here. Very little tiny bit of material remaining here on the bottom. So I think I'll do the same as I did in the VermiBag Mini. Is I'll grab a fresh handful of shredded paper, throw that shredded paper down on the bottom as an extra layer of bedding for them before we place in the new food. So I'm going to go grab some of that. Alrighty. As you may have heard me mention in the previous videos, I've got a whole bag of this shredded paper, and it's not a whole bag anymore. It's definitely getting depleted nicely as time goes on. So I'm happy to see that. Last time in the other bins when I added shredded paper, I did moisten it because it seemed like it would make good sense to do so, but here it doesn't seem necessary at all. There's a fair amount of moisture down in here within the bin, luckily. And I'm sure that that piece of plywood I've got resting on the bottom, preventing the moisture from wicking out and evaporating through the bottom, is helping a lot too, so that's cool. So whatever remains here is going to go to the worms, so let's dump it all right in. Here's the potato peels that remain. That's a lot. Ooh, wow. Okay. A fair amount of potato peel. Very nice. I guess we'll get these older pieces of corn back into action. Throw them back down. I don't know what happened to those couple banana stems that I was playing around with in the beginning. I thought I had put them aside somewhere, but now they just got blended in with the rest of the stuff. So here's one maybe. Oh, here's another. Maybe those were the two. Pure luck that I happened upon them again. Just trying to get some of these older food items back down in here. But yeah, there's not much left. So what else do we have here? Some of this unidentified green stuff, whatever it was. Just from the look of it, it might be asparagus. I think my mom likes to peel off the outer skin of the asparagus to just allow the fleshy, soft part of the middle to remain, making it a little bit easier to chew. So she'll make it that way sometimes. So it might be compliments of my mom. I'm pretty sure most of this stuff here is compliments from my mom. Here's some fruity stuff. Some strawberry like we saw in the other bin. Some more potato peels, I guess. Another banana skin. It's a key lime. Had a package of key limes. Again, compliments of my mom. But not all of them got eaten, so these last couple were just sitting in the refrigerator. Didn't look too good anymore, so I figured I'd chuck them in here, give them to the worms. So, alright, things are looking pretty good in here. All that really remains now is to give them what remains of this this container of coffee. So that is a hearty feeding. But I don't think it's much more than they got in any other previous feedings. I generally tend to feed pretty generously and pretty frequently, and I believe that they're doing a great job breaking it all down. So I'm going to start peeling back the material that we excavated to open up that nice big hole in the middle. Kind of examining it as I go to see what I see. But yeah, I just like to, use this as an opportunity to see how things are really coming along. So I do goof around in here sometimes a bit more than I probably should. Here, all this stick stuff, all these little sticks, these are just the stems of leaves, because leaves are one of the staple items that I use to build most bins. So those are probably still just a throwback to when I originally built this bin. I don't think I've added many leaves since then. So even though the leafy part of the leaves has all been consumed already, the little sticky parts, the little stems of each leaf are still here. And hopefully they'll break down in time as well. In my mature bins, you normally don't see much of that, but in my newer bins, you do see that pretty regularly. I'm excited that I'm seeing so many cocoons all over the place too. seeing so many cocoons kind of makes me wonder if it might provide an opportunity for me to do another video, another time-lapse video showing a bin starting with, you know, just cocoons. If I can, you know, if I can in this short period of time locate, you know, half a dozen cocoons, then I'm sure that if I really focused on it and started really looking around for them, I should be able to come up with enough to start off another time lapse with African nightcrawler cocoons pretty easily. Something to consider. I think we're done here. Let me wrap up and clean up. So that's no fun. I'll do that after the camera's been turned off. But before I do, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for keeping me company and for watching the video. And as always, I really appreciate it if you just give it a quick like. Every thumbs up is awesome, and I'm always happy to see it. So if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more content like this, you can also subscribe to the channel. And if you ring the bell, you might also get notifications from YouTube that I've got new content coming online. So once again, thanks everyone for watching, and hopefully we'll see you back here next time. Take care. Bye-bye.